This is from today's Big Ten press conference. New Commissioner Tony Petitti from Adam Rittenberg. There's like 3 or 4 of these tweets. Says his immediate attention is on integrating USC and UCLA, and as for future expansion, as commissioner of the Big Ten, my job is to make sure it is as strong in the present and future as it's always been. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and the CEO, one of the other guys, hold on, I got this tweet somewhere, did say that, like, as of right now, you know, let's see, the Illinois Chancellor Robert Jones.
No, I've got another. We're going to get to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now it's not. They've got to focus on making sure USC and UCLA and all that's right. I think that, you know, and I've maintained this, the Pac-12 is going to get a TV deal, a media deal. It's probably not going to be all that great. And then in 5 years, we can have this discussion in earnest again. I mean, something like that. I think that's what we'll talk about expansion really more is about 5 years from now when the media deals start to expire. The first round of the college football playoff is, kind of expansion has gone through and people see what they want to do. Then I think we can probably have a more reasonable discussion about it. But, there are things that remain to be seen.
Well, I mean, when it comes to expansion, there's not always a lot of reason for a lot of people that, really can kind of take advantage of the vagueness of some comments like this one. But there's a follow-up comment that provides some clarity. And I wish, if anything, because I love, talking about the rumors and all that as well. But I do think that if college leaders are so worried about it, or they don't like the negativity that stems from it, or don't like people rattling the branches if there's nothing really there and whatnot, just come out and say the truth. Like, don't be so vague. Like, how vague was that statement?
Yeah.
Because I know they can't rule anything out, because guess what? Nothing's off the table. Mm-hmm. As much as people, no, there's nothing absolutely blah, blah, blah. Then just say that. But they don't, right? Why don't they say that? Because they don't want to eliminate that chance, because there's a chance. Now,
and even saying, I'll leave it at that opens that door.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Okay, what does that mean? I'll leave it at that after this incredibly vague thing that I just said that's open to interpretation and can be taken a million different ways. So, yeah, I mean, if you don't want people speculating about it, then, I don't know, like, hit the bullet point a little harder or hit the bullseye a little better. But they don't, and they're not stupid people, so some of that's intentional. And I know some of that, too, is they're not always the smartest people in the room either, and they don't know what's coming down the tracks. And so they've got to be somewhat open to any, direction to possibly pivot. So that's the weird thing about expansion, is just that you can't be as firm sometimes as you want to be. And it's like with the Pac-12 is these officials come out and they're like, we are not interested. A sentence later, as long as we get the TV deal, it's like It's one of those things. So it's never 100% really until it is. And so, yeah, that's a comment that is absolutely one that could let people run rampant. But there's a follow-up from someone else involved in that conference that's a little bit, less vague as far as what they're looking at.
All right, which one you want to go to? You want to go to Illinois?
Yeah.
All right, you have the one from the president at Illinois. This is from Nicole Auerbach. Illinois Chancellor Robert Jones telling The Athletic, the notion of expansion is not really at the top of our list at the moment. That's an honest answer. We're only going to do what's best for our current membership. There has to be some value added for expanding beyond. And that means that whoever they add, whether we hear the various teams or programs, will have to equal at least what they're making per school that's a part of the Big Ten, including USC and UCLA. And that's a big number to reach.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's got to make sense. And the Big Ten has to, look, Oregon and Washington, everybody can go wherever they want to go, but they have to be wanted, and it has to work out. So I don't know if we're, really, seriously talking about it right now at all, because the Big Ten has kind of said, like, right now at this moment, we don't want to do that. We're focused on what we are. Now, again, things can change in a heartbeat if Oregon and Washington called and said, look, we hate this TV deal. We want out. What's our deal? But even then, if that's a worse deal for them than in the short term than staying, who knows?
Big Ten don't have to answer that phone call, though, Paul.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're not at the behest of the two schools you just mentioned. Like, I mean, as much of that might be in people's minds, they don't control anything. They can be the unhappiest people in the world. That's their problem. That's not Michigan's or Ohio State's or anybody else's. If they're wanted, they'll let it be known they're wanted, and they'll pursue them. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they're not just going to add teams for the sake of doing it, as much as we like to fantasy book this and like, here's 6 teams. I mean, it's a little bit more complicated than that. So yeah, I don't feel, and I haven't felt for quite a while, and I think we've been pretty clear in this, that we haven't really entertained the idea of the Oregon-Washington Big Ten move, because it just doesn't, there's not really any part of it that seems all that realistic. I mean, there's not really a lot of smoke to believe outside of just well, they would like to do that.
Only maybe when the Pac-12, there was a little bleeding early, there might have been that, but no.
But we don't hear from them, though.
No.
We don't hear from those two. No. We hear from everybody else, but we don't hear from those two. I mean,
Which is because of what our discussion was yesterday, that they're trying to wheel behind the scenes to make something happen for them, and that's why they might both be going, damn.
Well, I mean, that's the thought, yeah. I mean, the thought is that they want to go. The thought is they would like to go, but the other part of that is that they don't have an invitation. I mean, it's really that
you can't go somewhere that you don't want.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we can talk all day long about how much they'd love to do that, but if they don't have an invite, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, I mean, that's a situation where the Big Ten, I'm sure, will, bide its time and be calculated and smart, just like they were with the 2 LA schools. And who knows, they could be looking in any direction as far as what they do next. But yeah, that doesn't make it feel like there's anything like impending, around the corner. Unless they're just hiding it really well. And I don't know how you take that if you're those 2 schools, but I think if you're the Pac, that makes you've probably already felt like they're not really going anywhere anyways, but maybe those comments make you settle down even a little bit more. But I'd be interested to know what those 2 thought.
I think that maybe the commissioner transition may have also slowed any idea the Big Ten was going to expand anymore after USC and UCLA. Now, let's go to the one with Chris Vanini. Chris Vanini had this. New Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti said he likes or thinks a 12-team playoff is perfect number to keep the regular season important, connected with the postseason. I can't emphasize enough how big conference championship games are going to be now because of the buys. So he's saying that even more value on the conference championship games. Also, one other note. This is from Dennis Dodd, which kind of ties back into the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and anyone who's trying to make more money. Perhaps the most interesting comment today, according to Dennis Dodd and the commissioner, Tony Petitti, the content of the games is what matters. The platform is secondary.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But if the content is really good, then your platform, the chicken and the egg theory here, the content is good, the platforms are going to be better because more platforms are going to come and get you. And that's that just means that you have to have good teams in your conference and playing well, because if you have a bad conference, then you're going to get less and less opportunities. But yeah, I mean, the platform is certainly secondary, says the guy who's on every platform, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's speaking from the peak of the mountaintop. But I do agree that if something's good, people will seek it out. Mm-hmm. If music's good, it doesn't have to be on the biggest music label to be found. You can find it on a SoundCloud page, and that's the way the world's worked for, I don't know, the last couple decades of the internet. I mean, that makes everything, pretty much, front and center if you want it to be. It doesn't have to, be a slave to the cable network, and what you got is what you have to eat, and that's it. And no, you can jump on, and I can pull up anything I pretty much want to watch right now on this laptop in front of me. So yeah, I mean, I think as far as, clearly, I think that can be taken by, Pac-12 fans who are possibly looking at a streaming deal as a great comment of like, yeah, it doesn't matter where we are, as long as the product's good, then people will watch it. I think that this year with the crop of quarterbacks they have, that could certainly be the case. But as far as that new deal goes, I mean, that's a positive way to look at it. I don't know if that's all the way true, because I do think brands matter a lot in college athletics, and the brands are as much of a pull as the product. Because there's some big brands that the product's really not that good, but guess what? They still pull eyeballs. So I kind of agree, kind of disagree with him, but as far as the platforms go, yeah, if something's good, people will seek it out and they will find it no matter how, no matter where.
All right, we're going to get into more of what we discussed yesterday.